I want to start off by, again, welcoming all of you. Um, Thank you so much for taking the time to join us for the next hour or so. Our goal with this webinar is to help you all write a strong nomination for EE 30 under 30, whether you are nominating yourself or someone else. We're going to go over a little bit more about the program, how we sort of approach and define environmental education and leadership. We'll talk about some tips for writing a strong nomination. And then our goal is to have plenty of time at the end for your questions. And this will be recorded. We will share the link to the recording within the next week or so, but we will also have the link up on our website up on the 30 under 30 webpage for you to view. And please use the chat throughout to share any questions that you have. We might not answer them right away, like if we know that we're going to be getting to that topic in just a few minutes. But please, if you have any questions, put them in the chat throughout so we can work those in as we're going through. And anything that we don't get to, we'll either get to at the end, or we can also answer over email as well if we happen to run out of time. So our overall agenda for today is we're going to share a little bit about us, about NAAEE, about the sponsors of the program, then about the program itself, E30 under 30. We'll walk through the application, the different questions, as well as give you some overall advice and some common feedback that we get from our reviewers. And then we'll have some time for question and answers. All right, and I would like to introduce myself and my colleague on here as well, who you'll hear from pretty soon. My name is Nina Hamilton. I'm the Director of International Leadership Programs at NAAEE, and I've been working on this program and our international programs for about almost 7 years now. So it's been a real joy to see how our networks and these communities have grown over the years. And I'm joined by my colleague, Madeline. I don't know if you want to go ahead and say hi now.
Sure, yeah. Hi, everyone. My name's Madeline. I'm the International Programs Specialist, so I also work closely with Nina on our international programs, including 30 under 30.
Great. All right, and so next up, a little bit about NAAEE. So EE30 under 30 is a program of the North American Association for Environmental Education, or NAAEE. Some people say NAAEE. They're all the variations of the same organization. We are a professional association for environmental education professionals. So we're working with educators and other education professionals throughout North America, but also throughout the world, all with the goal to advance the field of environmental education, or EE. If you hear me say EE, that refers to environmental education. And our mission as an organization is to advance environmental literacy and civic engagement through the power of education, all to create a more sustainable future for everyone. We have a wide range of programs working on building capacity, strengthening networks, connecting research to practice, and a whole lot more. So I really encourage you to take a look at our website, NAAEE.org. We have a lot of great resources, opportunities to connect. Our call for presentations for our conference is open right now. So please do take a look at our website for opportunities in addition to this one. We also, this program is also made possible by the GEEP, the Global Environmental Education Partnership, for which NAAEE is the secretariat. And so our mission with the GEEP is to create this global learning network that helps build capacity, strengthen environmental education, strengthen professional networks around the world. We have a number of resources on our website on the jeep.org that explore EE practice and policies around the world. We have case studies, we have country profiles. We also host webinars. So we really encourage you to take a look at our website there, and you can sign up for our newsletter to hear about new opportunities and events. All right, now the reason that you all are here, so building leadership is really a core goal of both NAAE and the Jeep. And through EE 30 under 30, our goal is to help recognize, award, and also build the capacity of the incredibly diverse talent that exists in every community around the world, the incredible leadership that we're seeing in youth and young people around the world. And it's not, to say that youth are the next generation of leaders. I know youth are leading right now. You all are leaders of right now. And this program strives to recognize that. So the program started in 2016. So next slide. Program started in 2016, so we're actually in our 10th year this year, which is very exciting. We're recognizing our 10th class this year, and our alumni community has really been instrumental in spreading the word globally and helping to grow this community. So we right now have 271 alumni across 53 countries. Of course, we're always looking to expand that, and of course, each year the community grows by at least 30. So a little more specifics about what you can expect as a EE 30 under 30 awardee. Again, our goal is to celebrate the leadership of young people around the world and to help give you all a professional boost wherever you are. Our awardees are at various stages of their careers, from 13-year-olds that are still in school, but they're leading incredible efforts, to folks that are in their late 20s that are maybe further along in their career. And so as a 30 under 30, you would get access to our virtual alumni community, which brings a lot of great opportunities for networking, for learning from fellow awardees around the world. Recognition is, of course, a big part of this. We would work with you to share your story across NAAE's platforms as well as on your own, and to help you share that recognition. You would have access also to professional development opportunities on an ongoing basis throughout the year with your other alumni. So those are some of the key opportunities. And when we have in-person conferences, conferences and our NAAE conference in general, we do often have scholarship opportunities to attend that. So that is one of those professional development opportunities that we offer. All right, so two important parts of the EE 30 under 30 program that if you've looked through the application, you may have seen this. Two important parts are environmental education and leadership. You'll see that we ask very explicitly about these two things. So we wanted to share a little bit about each so you can see, we don't want to give you a strict definition to follow, but we want to give you some background, some prompts, some things to just help you get your creative juices going, to help get you thinking about how this applies to your own work. And we really do want you to, in your application, be showing how you are uniquely demonstrating these qualities. What is the unique environmental education work that you're doing? It does not need to fit into a box of what you see other people or other past awardees doing. So we really want to recognize the diversity of approaches, of leadership styles here. So generally with environmental education, we think about equipping people with the tools, skills, and motivation to be stewards of the environment. And so EE 30 under 30 celebrates environmental education that really helps to empower individuals and communities to use those skills, those critical thinking skills, to make their own informed decisions about the environment. So it's about encouraging open discussion, problem solving, building capacity and skills so that people and communities can address issues in their communities. So it's not as much about trying to get people to do one specific thing. It's really about building that knowledge, that motivation, those skills to make informed decisions for a more sustainable future. And with EE, the audience can be anyone, anywhere. If you look through our EE 30 awardees from past years, you will see this. EE is a lifelong learning process for children, adults. It can be multi-generational. It can be working with entire communities, representing all ages. It can also happen anywhere. It's not just in the formal school system. It can be in the formal school system, but it can be outside of school. It can be in a community. It can be in churches. It could really be anywhere. And just to reiterate, we've given you a little bit of a definition here of how we sort of kind of approach and define environmental education, but we know it shows up in so many different forms in different countries, cultures, working with different audiences. So what EE looks like to you might look a little bit different, and we really want you to capture that in your nomination. All right, so then with leadership, this is another important aspect of the application. So, and again, we'll share kind of how we tend to approach it, but we really encourage you to think about how this applies to yourself. So broadly, we think of leadership as leading change and inspiring others in your community, organization, or network. And so I bet if I asked each of you what that means or an example of that, we would get 39 different answers. And this is the beauty of a program like this, is we want to recognize that diversity. So this is kind of something to help guide you. But we really don't want to give you a specific definition to try to fit into. Also, I just want to emphasize leadership. Examples of leadership do not have to be when you are in a leadership position. Or let me say, you don't have to be in a leadership position to be a leader. You can show leadership within an organization, not as an executive director. You can be, at the lowest level of your organization or the highest level. Leadership for us does not have anything to do with kind of your position within the organization. So we encourage you to take this guidance here and see how it applies to whatever work you are doing. Maybe it's outside of an organization, maybe it's with your community, with yourself as an individual. All right, and with that, I'm going to turn it over to Madeline. I'm not sure at this point if we need to pause for any questions, because we're going to get into the application. So if y'all have any questions about what we've shared so far, please put them in the chat and then we'll get to them. But I imagine a lot of you are looking for advice on the application itself. So we'll get into that part.
Thanks, Nina. Sounds good to me. And then hi again, everyone. My name is Madeline. And again, if you're just joining, I work with Nina at NAAEE and specifically on our international programs, which includes 30 Under 30. I'm just going to spend a short time walking through the application form and some overall advice. And then like Nina said, we'll open it up for Q&A from you and yeah, we'll go from there. Just importantly, as we walk through this application, I'm going to be talking to you as if you're the nominee, but all of this advice applies if you are nominating someone else. So the most important thing is that nominations are due May 12th at 11:59 p.m. US Eastern Time. Make sure if you're in another time zone, you convert that to your own time zone. And we'll notify nominees the status of their nomination by August of 2025. So like I mentioned, for 30 Under 30, you can either nominate yourself or you can nominate someone else. So if you're no longer eligible to be nominated this year, then we encourage you to nominate a colleague or someone who you think is a great match for the program. And you can nominate as many people as you like. You just submit a separate nomination form for each. So to be eligible to be an awardee for 30 Under 30, nominees have to be 30 years old or younger by the due date, so by May 12, 2025. They must be using environmental education and leadership throughout their work. And we'll talk about how to communicate this more in the application. Like Nina mentioned, we welcome applications from any sector, so you don't have to be working in something that's strictly focused on environmental education. But as long as you're using environmental education in your work, you're eligible. All nominations must be submitted in English. At this time, we don't have capacity to review applications in any other language than English. However, we won't judge you on the way that you speak or write in English, so you don't have to be like amazing at it or proficient in order to be nominated. And we welcome nominations from anywhere in the world. There are about 5 main parts of the nomination form that I'll quickly walk through today. The first one is that nominees are asked to submit a short video introducing yourself and your story. And this is just an informal video that gives you the opportunity to tell us about your background, your passions, your identity, really anything you'd like us to know about you. It doesn't have to be about EE or leadership per se. It can be mostly about like who you are as a person, maybe what led you to the work that you do, your personal connection to some of the efforts that you're doing right now. How did you end up where you are? And we also include a written response box underneath the video where you can add or elaborate anything that you didn't fit in your video, or if you want to add any other additional information. If you're nominating someone else, we'll send this, this video as part of the letter of support from your nominee. A couple video tips. Again, this is super informal video, but just some things that make a really effective one is to keep it short. We ask that it's under 90 seconds. Make it personal. So we want to get to know about you and your passions, not just about like your organization, for example. Talk to the camera. Don't worry about adding other content. We don't need photos or anything additional. It can just be you and the camera talking to us. Make sure you have a quiet background and some good lighting so we can hear you and see you very clearly. And we're not judging you based on your video quality, nothing like that. One thing to note throughout the nomination form is that we encourage you to use your own words and to not rely on AI generated content, and we will not consider videos that are AI generated. Okay, a second main part of the nomination form is describing your environmental education efforts. So describing how you are using education to engage people in building a sustainable future. We ask that you focus on work that you've already done or are currently doing, rather than like what you have planned to do, for example. We love to know about your goals or the issues that you're addressing, your activities or approaches, your audience, any positive outcomes so far, such as like the number of people that you've reached. And then if you are part of like a bigger team or organization, be clear about your role in those initiatives. So you can talk about like what part of a specific event did you contribute to? Were you a planning person, implementation? Did you develop curriculum, things like that? The most important advice that we can give here is to give enough detail about your EE work for us to see how you incorporate environmental education into your efforts. So for example, if you've helped with a workshop, you can describe the goals of the workshop, some of the EE activities, and then what your role was. And we recommend looking at NAAEE's webpage, like Nina mentioned. We have more information on what is EE and why it matters if you kind of want to explore more about what environmental education might look like. A third main part of the nomination form is our leadership. This is our question asking about your leadership qualities and a great place you can share examples of those qualities. Again, leadership means something different to everybody. And so this is a great place to describe what it means to you and how it looks like in your work. Be as specific as you can here. You can talk about specific situations where you took initiative. You can demonstrate ways that your leadership traits show up in your work and provide examples of those in action. On the nomination form, we have some examples under this question. You can look through about like what might be a leader. Again, this could all change depending on like what leadership means to you and how it shows up in your own work. So really just be clear about what your leadership looks like. The fourth part of the nomination form is why do you want to join the 30 under 30 community? This is maybe how you might benefit or contribute to the community. EE 30 under 30 really thrives on active engagement from both our awardees and our alumni. And so we want to know like not only how you would benefit from being a 30 under 30, but also what you would bring to the community. If you're nominating someone else, we'll also have this question for the nominee to answer through their letter of support. And that brings me to the last part, the letter of support. For all nominations, a letter of support is required, and it has the same deadline of May 12, 2025. We encourage you to notify your reference as soon as possible. So you can go into the nomination form, you can put in their email here, add a message if you want, and hit send request now, all before you submit your nomination. And we encourage you to do this. That way they can receive their form too, and you can both be working on it and not have to worry about doing anything last minute. So if you're nominating someone else, the letter of support is going to invite your nominee to submit a brief video and written responses to a couple of questions. If you're nominating yourself, you'll see this one right here, which invites a reference to submit a letter on your behalf. And we recommend that it's someone who can speak to your leadership qualities. Okay, and then just some overall advice. And this is based on feedback we receive from our reviewers, but also what we see in some of our strongest nominations. So first, concrete examples can really make your application a strong one, particularly with how you use EE and why you're a leader. This paints a clear picture for reviewers about your impact and your goals as they read your application. Along those same lines, as much detail as possible is better. Feel free to use the whole word limit, and you can use the word count as a guide for how much detail that you should or can include to help us really understand who you are and your work. If you've been awarded other awards or recognitions in the past, that's amazing, but that's not really something that we consider for this specific program. Instead, it might be great to talk about some of the work that maybe led to that award instead of just the award itself. And then this one's really important. Give yourself plenty of time. Start the application now, start looking at it now, notify your reference, and just take your time with it. When you're in submittable, you can save as a draft and come back to your nomination several times so you don't have to submit it right away. We also have Word and PDF versions on our website if you'd like to work offline and then later copy and paste those answers into submittable. And then overall, tell us your story. Like I said earlier, we really want to know about you, about the work that you do, what led you to do it, what are your motivations and your vision for the future. We just want to hear about your story. Nominees that are most memorable do a really great job of giving us kind of a full picture of who they are. And then just to know, we do have advice and guidance throughout the online nomination form underneath each question. And we also have an online FAQ if you want to look through that with some of our most asked questions. And you can always contact us if there's anything that you'd like to know and that you don't see here. Okay, and finally, just to drive this home, because we see this a lot from our reviewers, especially over the last few years, reviewers really want specific examples of your EE work, and especially EE work that moves beyond raising awareness or advocating about just an issue. So we really appreciate a lot of the advocacy and awareness raising work that we see from our nominees, and it's amazing. However, for this program, we also want to see moving beyond that. What are some things, like Nina had mentioned earlier, that empower audiences to think critically and solve environmental issues? So not teaching folks like what to say or what to do, but how to think. And then reviewers also note that nominees will often list their leadership qualities, and they're amazing qualities, but they won't follow up with demonstrations or examples of those qualities and actions. And so make sure that as you're writing down what quality leadership traits you have, you're also demonstrating ways that those are working in action throughout your work. Okay, finally, encourage you to look through our 30 under 30 webpage. This is where you can access the online application, which is through Submittable. You can look through Word or PDF versions of the application if you'd like to preview it or work offline. We have a promotional toolkit if you want to use some graphics and some blurbs to share about 30 under 30 with your community on social media or your newsletters or in other ways. We will post the recording of this webinar there in the next week. And we have several alumni biographies, 271 to be exact. You can sort them by country if you want to look through different regions and just learn about all of the amazing work that's taking place. All right, any questions? Any questions in the chat, Nina?
Yes, we did have a great a question about AI. Can I use AI for grammar check, essentially?
Yeah, I would say that's completely fine. I think what's difficult for reviewers is when some people will use AI and just copy and paste it, and then it's not really authentic. And what you've probably seen a big theme is you really want to see your authentic self. So using it for grammar is completely fine. Feel free to raise your hand if you want to speak your question out loud too. Oh, I
All
see
right, we do.
raised. Yeah. Jackson, go for it.
Um, yeah, regarding like the sort of desire to know the nominees personally and their personal story, if you're nominating somebody else, should you try to include that in your application, or is like the video that the nominee records, is that the opportunity for them to speak about their personal journey?
Yeah, I would say the video is a great opportunity for them, for them to talk about themselves. If you want to add anything in your nomination, you totally can. But they will have that opportunity to talk about themselves. Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. Nina, anything you wanted to add to that?
No, and just to share, you know, they'll have the video, but they'll also have a written a space for a written response as well. So it's up to you then what you think, you know, from your perspective might really complement that. But they will definitely have the space to share their, you know, their own personal story.
And this is
All right,
just a letter of support if you want to look through. It's
there
all
you
the
go.
same questions. This is what they'll be sent when you submit that little request to them. I think we have another hand raise, Lucila.
Hi, thank you for the information. It's great to be here. So I had two questions. One question was if the reference person can be someone that worked with us in the past, because I was thinking about a person I worked with about 3 or 4 years ago that was part of the project that is really related to my environmental education journey. And also if we can talk about projects that we have done in the past, even if they are not like now currently doing those projects, like including both things that I'm doing, but also things that I think are relevant that I have done in the past years.
Yeah, great questions. And yes to both. For your reference letter, I would say that's a perfect person to have as a reference, and especially if they can talk about some of the leadership traits that they've experienced working with you. And then, yeah, definitely you can use past experiences and what you're doing now for your EE work. That's great.
Thank you.
I think there might be, is there a question in the chat here?
So yeah, and there's a question about the announcement. I was just typing it, but I can say it out loud. I think our goal for announcing the class of 2025 will probably be October. It'll be later this year. And then Alicia, if they're with an organization, should they only speak about current work or can they include past work? Did we kind of address?
Oh yeah, that's the same as the last question. They can include both, definitely. Okay, I see a question. Are there any location limits? I can apply in English when my English is basic. Will it be limiting for a nomination and being part of the 30 under 30 community in the future? I would say if you've got some basic English, that's fine. Yeah, we accept nominations from anywhere in the world. And like I mentioned, we don't judge your nomination based on the quality of your English that you speak or write. So as long as you can submit it in English, that's completely fine. And there's people that speak, I would say several of our 30 under 30, probably a majority speak several languages, and English is not their first language. So you won't be alone in that. Any other questions?
Good question. Do we limit the number of people from each country? We do not. We do when we're selecting the final class, and we have a panel with past awardees, with our alumni that help with making these decisions, reviewing nominations, and making that final selection of the class. We don't have a limit in terms of countries or regions, but we do, you might see on, with the past classes, we do try to have a as representative of a class as we can, to represent different countries and different regions. We also take into account, trying to get people who are maybe earlier in their career and later in their career, because we want to, as we've said, we want to recognize leadership in many different forms. And so we strive for that in our class selection. All right, we've got some other good questions here. So how will the journey look like post-selection? So if you are selected as a 30 under 30, we then reach out to you about for all of the information that we might need for the announcement that will happen later this year. And then after the announcement, we host some activities to bring the awardees together, to meet each other, to connect, to build their networks. And then we also have other professional development opportunities throughout the year, as well as this ongoing alumni community where you can reach out to other alumni.
Oh, and I'll just add, we do also continue to share about 30 under 30 work. So even post like announcing the awardees, and we love like when 30 under 30 want to share like a blog or an update about their work. We've hosted like live events in the past, sharing some advice to other folks. So really great ways to continue recognizing you as well in the work that you're doing.
And we often will recommend our alumni for speaking opportunities, for webinars, for conference keynotes. So as part of the community, we have we create a lot of opportunities for our EE 30 under 30 winners.
Okay, I see this next one. Can more than one person apply for this if they're in the same organization? Yes, definitely you can. And do you contact everyone, even the ones not shortlisted? Yeah, we let everybody know the status of their application, likely in August this year. We'll do that. We'll send you a note, and you can also request feedback at that time if you'd like to see what some of the reviewers have noted.
Yeah. On that note, we do our best to try to help you improve your nominations year to year. We do receive a lot of requests for feedback. So if you're not selected and you do, you want to request feedback, don't be alarmed when if it takes us a while. Because we've had a number of our awardees that they applied over a few years, and they took the feedback and they really improved their nominations. And so we want to do our best to help you all with that process. All right, some good questions about the process here. So who reviews the applications? We have a number of stages. So I'll take these two questions together, actually. We typically receive over 200 nominations. I think our highest was 230 something, maybe. So it tends to be around that. And so we have a number of review stages. I won't go into a ton of detail, but the first stage is just kind of a general making sure that all of the requirements are met, that you've completely filled out the application. And then the more in-depth review is we bring together a group of reviewers that includes EE 30 under 30 alumni, some of our Jeep advisors, other people who have been connected with the program for a while, people who work with other leadership programs. But a big chunk of them are EE 30 under 30 alumni. We want to make sure that the EE 30 under 30 are, have a big say in kind of shaping this program year to year. And then the final selection panel is made up of some of our staff as well as more alumni who help make those final decisions. All right, any other questions?
Okay. Like we mentioned earlier, you can always contact us, ee30under30@NAAEE.org. And we also have the FAQ. We'll send you a link to that when we email you the recording of this webinar, as well as some other resources. Yeah. So just a couple quick things before we close out. NAAEE is hosting a virtual conference and research symposium this year. So the symposium will be October 30th, and the conference is November 3rd through 6th. And we are currently accepting proposals for presentations that are due May 16th. You can learn more about the conference and find the form to submit your own presentation proposal at conference.NAAEE.org and learn more information there. And then one final thing is EE Pro is a really great resource that I encourage you to explore if you don't already know about it. So EE Pro is NAAEE's online hub for environmental education professional development. It's a place where you can find and share resources, opportunities, look for jobs, and there are a variety of topical groups, including one for global environmental education and also one for young professionals, which you might be interested in. It's free to sign up, and yeah, I encourage you to explore that. Okay, I think that's it. You'll be hearing from us soon with everything. Thank you so much for joining, and best of luck in your nominations.